All right, I put this off from yesterday. I already explained what happened. I mean, I said pretty non vaguely that my original plan was to do this yesterday around the same time as now, but I fell asleep. And then by the time I woke up, it was already like 7, 8 a.m. I was like, ah, stupid. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting morning, is all I can say. Um, in the past, I've talked about how lousy of a website Discord is. I've talked about how people on there do things that I tend to not see in other places. And there's a mixture of the anonymity, right? When you make a profile on there, in most cases, people are very vague about who they are in real life, but also just a real sickness. I think a lot of it has to do with of any website I can think of that's flourishing, not counting some dead place like MySpace or Facebook. It's the one that probably is the most active but has the least amount of moderation, where a lot of servers have mods who are mods in name only, where unless you directly do something to them, most of the weird or horrible things that people do there are just going to go completely unnoticed and under the rug. But we're going to get into about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different incidents and characters. And I just want to give a warning. If you don't feel like hearing this stuff, I don't blame you. These people are pretty bad. They're so bad that my brother, when I started the stream, he wanted to go to bed because he said he couldn't bear to hear the things that were going to be discussed. He actually had his own song. So I can't say I blame him. I mean, when he heard about some of this stuff, he looked like he was going to grow up. But yeah, I decided a few weeks ago to give it the old college try with some of these servers that I one of them I used to be in, then the other ones are all brand new. And there was something when I was talking to my friend, I told him, I really kind of, I guess the way to rationalize it is, I hate the fact that we live in this digital era where you can just have access to people left and right. They're on all these different sites. They're sometimes on there all day long in many cases. And I hate that in spite of how connected we are, you know, on a technical level, there's still not much interaction. Like there's a lot of people I see on Twitter, for example, who, maybe I'll thumb up a post, but when it comes to actually directly speaking to them, person to person, it's almost never. The most you get out of it is maybe when they type something up, you respond to it with a comment that they might thumb up or hearts or whatever. But besides that, it's like really not much of anything. And I do miss being able to just be in a call and, this person appears and maybe we get along with them, maybe we don't, but at least you tried, you attempted to speak. And I never will miss the rudeness of it, where there's just a lot of people that go into these very large servers and say weird or offensive stuff on purpose to try and get attention or a rise out of someone. I think I'm more equipped to deal with it because of how long I've seen it in comment sections. Just you accept that this is what people do. They go and say or write weird stuff, and that seems to be the end of it. Seen it in comment sections. Okay, good. Want to make sure that we were not having any sync issue. But no, going back to what I was saying, I think my experiences with here have made it to where a lot of the crazier stuff that goes on over there is not as problematic for me, or it's not something that would catch me off guard as much as it might someone else. Like there are some people on there who act very traumatized if you send them a slightly provocative DM. Not even kidding about that. I wish I was joking. So that's already part of it. But when I was telling my friend about my intentions to start on Discord again and go in some servers, with the hopes of, I guess, meeting halfway decent people, his exact words to me were, "I wish you good luck. It'll be the most amazing thing ever." And I'm gonna try to see if I can do this in chronological order. It's been about 2 weeks since I began this initiative, so most of it is pretty fresh in my memory. So I was in this one server, and it's one of those like general chat hangout type ones where it's not really about a specific topic. And there was a lady who, because a lot of times people will write a post saying, "Hi, my name is this and I like that," etc., little, posts where they communicate their, just basic stuff about themselves. And I said, why not reach out to this person? What's the worst that could happen? Again, since it's online and they're from another country, I'm a lot less worried about, oh, they might try to do this to me, like the type of stuff I dealt with the insane coworker. And I send them request. Now, in the meantime, I join this other server where there's of like two people. There's one that's writing a bunch of, I'd say, antagonistic stuff in the comment section, like the one of the chats of the, little text chats. And there's this other lady who is writing stuff as well. And I respond to one of her posts, and she says, "Oh, you're a really nice person," some of that effect, which I thought was funny because you don't even know me and you're giving me this type of praise. But I send her a friend request, and we have a small little dialogue where she asked me just basic things about myself, and I kind of relay that I prefer speaking voice to voice than in typing because I think it's easier to convey whatever type of emotion I have, whatnot. And I mentioned that I've had people criticize me for my voice, which is, I mean, whatever. It's the internet. People just they criticize you over everything, and I did a video actually on that same idea. And she says, "Hey, can I hear your voice?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, do you want to do a VC?" And she's like, "Oh no, you can send me a voice note, and this is basically where you record yourself and then send it to the person." And in this recording, I kid you not, and I will, if anyone doesn't believe me, I will take it and I will put it in a video. If it does not believe, this recording is about 5 or 6 seconds long, and all I say is something to the effect of, "Hey, this is something I made just for you," etc. Because it's specifically directed towards her. That was I don't even think I said 2 sentences worth of stuff in that 6 second clip. She gets this clip, and after playing it, she like, I guess, replies to my comment and asks, "Are you trying to hit on me because I am very dumb with signals?" And I look at the screen like this because I'm almost in shock at the idea that, well, so we know that with a lot of these internet people, things can get weird kind of quick, right? Like you can just see in real time how insane things are getting. Like you can notice very easily how bizarre stuff gets. But for the life of me, I can't understand where, based off of what was said in that 6 second clip, she would deduce that I wanted to date her. I thought it was absolutely insane. And we had a little bit more of an exchange where she mentioned that if I was trying to do this, then her boyfriend would have a problem with it. And I was just rolling my eyes. Um, I wasn't like too irritated because I hadn't really spoken to her for that long, less than a day. So it's not, again, nowhere near as obnoxious as some of the other dragged out things we've seen. But it's another part of that same pattern where basically it seems like every 2, 3, 4 months, I just have to accept the fact that if you speak to a woman, even if it's one exchange, they will mistake you for having some romantic desires for that, even if it like doesn't add up in any conceivable way. So this is a person who I don't know what she looks like. I don't know what state she's in. I know very little about. But I'm supposedly wanting to date her because in a voice recording I sent for her, I said, "This is just for you." It's so absurd. Um, who was the second one? Oh yeah, yeah. There's another one who, well, we can get into her later. But anyways, just to go back to the one that put the introduction thing. Um, I spoke to her voice to voice twice. The first time I think was a day or two after we had our first exchange through typing things to each other, and I found it to be very pleasant. She talked about herself, I talked about myself, and the second time we spoke was the next day. It was actually twice as long. She has one of these jobs where you technically have free time in the sense that a lot of it is just being on site or waiting for someone to show up, so you don't have to just every second be doing something, which I thought was interesting. And I know it's not made up because I could hear her like speaking to the other people that work there. The second call I liked even more than the first one. I talked to her about several different things. It was twice as long and whatnot, so it was more revealing on both sides. But as I sat there and I spoke to her, and especially after I stopped speaking to her, I had this epiphany. I said, so going back to the coworker, and I just bring this up to contrast the two. I said, and I asked my friend this when we spoke yesterday. I said, how is it that I couldn't get a woman who I can see, feel, and touch to do a phone call with me? The same one who agreed to go see a movie with me, right? But a woman who lives in another country will sit on the phone with me for multiple hours. When I see stuff like that, I don't understand. And it's one of the reasons why I say everything is so backwards. We can't get a person we know in real life to have a phone call with us, but someone who's never met us, who at the time didn't know what I looked like, she sat there and spoke to me for a total of 3 hours in 2 days. Um, and actually, in all likelihood, probably would have spoken to me even longer than that if I hadn't have been so tired that during the second call where I was like, "Hey, look, I have to wrap this up. I'm feeling sleepy." But that's the damnedest thing to me. Like this person who is 8 hours ahead of me, again, in another country, works 14, 15-hour shifts, very long shifts, some days, some weeks, not even a day off. That person spoke to me in a way that the ones around here do not. And I told her I was thankful for it, and I really just it's just such a contrast that is incredible when I the more I think about it. So if you want to have a phone call with someone, don't try to. Oh, let me rephrase it. If you want to have a phone call with a woman, you're better off trying to have one with a woman that lives in another country than one that is in your own backyard. Everything is just so backwards. I was wondering why that was wet. I this is another thing I do sometimes. I'll go and put a water bottle in the freezer and I'll fall asleep and then it'll just be a complete thing of ice by the time I get to it. So hopefully it'll thaw out as we continue our recollections. But no, I like her a lot and we had the good exchange. she said she would be getting more busy as I guess as the month progressed. So I don't expect to have something like that daily or whatever. But it was nice. It's been one of the few net positives of throwing myself back into this stuff. Um, and as I said, I made sure to let her know that I appreciated that exchange because it's not easy to get people to just talk to you. I've learned that the hard way. um, do I want to talk about that one yet, or do I want to mention her later? I guess we could talk about the one lady where it's like she's like so what was appealing to me about her is that she was like, hey, anyone can send me a message. I was like, okay. It's not often that you see people just saying you're allowed to just send them something whenever you feel like it. I was like, all right, hey, why not? And we had a couple of little back and forth interactions, exchanges, whatever. But in one of our exchanges, she called herself venting. And I don't know why people do this. They'll send like so what she does is she sends a screenshot and she has the person's name and picture blurred out. Which again, doesn't bother me. I don't need to know who this person is, whatever. But when she recounts her story, which is about her being upset with this guy that she's dating for not putting her name in his bio on the site, she inadvertently reveals who he is by having his name in her bio. It's like I'm gonna protect my lover's identity. That's why I'm gonna blur out their name in this picture I'm sending you of a screenshot of messages between us. But I'm also going to put their name in my bio so you'll know who they are. Anyway. So again, the issue is that she believed he was being secretive or ashamed of her because he wouldn't put her name in his stupid about me section on that site. And I was thinking of all this stuff to get upset with your partner for doing, like you didn't put me in your bio on this stupid site that most people don't even use. You have couples that worry about the other person is cheating. They notice the other person won't like talk to them that much anymore, etc., etc. And the main issue that this girl is able to conjure up with her significant other or partner, whatever you want to call him, is that he won't put her name in his about me section on that site. That's why I said people just have nothing to do. Like you can tell who's like living on certain sites and who's not when you see the things that they do and the behaviors they engage in. Where a lot of people who don't, maybe they might use Discord sporadically, right? Like when I say I use it daily, it doesn't mean, especially in like the last year and a half. Um, I've been out of servers, so at most I would talk to like one person on there and then just kind of forget about the site for the rest of the day. But some people are so terminally online and on specific sites at that it would really bother them to just not have their name in the other person's bio. Why didn't he put me in there? And at first I thought it was a joke when I got the message because like this is the big scandal. This is the big huge thing that's bothering you and causing you to doubt his faithfulness as a person to, I guess, have a relationship with. Oh, I think he's ashamed of me. It's like, I don't know why. Let it be known anytime you don't put your name in someone's anytime someone doesn't put your name in their bio on Discord, they're ashamed of you. It's just it's Another example of things being backwards. All I can say. Stuff these people get concerned over, it couldn't be me. I think I might have actually lost count of how many just weird encounters there have been. I know that the one that it will definitely get highlighted is the PowerPoint girl. I do get kind of annoyed that they have other people on there that call themselves artists, and what tends to happen is that and this goes back to why I don't like when people say if you have things in common with someone, you're more likely to, you know, grow closer, whatever, whatever. I've seen so many instances where you'll send art to somebody and they just respond in some extremely general way. Oh, it was nice. Or in the case of one person, they didn't even respond at all, which annoyed me because it's like I went out of my way to sift through multiple pictures I'm like the most proud of, clearly for the sake of looking good, for your evaluation, and you just have no comment. It's stuff like that is just obnoxious. But I just accept that's how these people are. Everybody's interested until they're not. No, let's dive into PowerPoint girl. Now, I'm gonna wager that when most people, like, I have not been in a relationship in years, and I've been very open about that. But I'm gonna wager that when most people get into a dispute with their significant other, um, they probably will try to talk to the person. Maybe they have a cooling off period. Hey, look, I'm just not going to speak to you for a little bit. Lay low, whatever, whatever. But I think in most cases, people will try to hash something out in a verbal way that is based around, hey, let's just talk about this. I didn't like that you did this, etc. Um, I joined a VC. It must have been at 3 or 4 in the morning, and I somebody had a username to where when I first saw it, I thought it was like a troll. I thought it was some guy who was being nasty and weird, and like took some lady's picture and was just kind of like just messing with everyone, right? It's pretty profane. Like I don't even want to say, I wouldn't say the name anyway, um, just to not reveal who these people are. But like it's profane by the standards what I'm used to. So I go into the VC, and to my surprise, it's a female, a woman, and she seems to be speaking normally, but she's saying something that is kind of weird, which is that she has a boyfriend that she had a dispute with, problem with, and her solution to getting him to see why what he did to her was wrong was to make a 10 slide PowerPoint explaining why he was incorrect. And the people in this VC were laughing about it. They thought it was goofy. I thought it was goofy. Um, I mean, there was even a part of me that almost didn't even think like she was actually doing it, just because who would take that much time to try and like make somebody else look dumb by just I just didn't think it was a thing that was real. So I'm in here for about 10-20 minutes. I make some jokes about her goofy username. She laughs at them. And I noticed that she sent me a message. I accept the message, and then she friend request me. And I should say the way I am is that I'm very preemptive about certain things. Like, when I have had, because of how many weird experiences I've had, especially with chicks online, when they do things or there's something about them I think is kind of peculiar, I tend to have evidence of it, um, just in case something happens that is like very treacherous or backstabby. So, like, for example, I screenshotted where she sent me a friend request. I had a screenshot of where she started this call that I wasn't even expecting, caught me off guard. And I did that again because I had this gut feeling, and it's not because I'm some psychic or prognostic. No, it's literally just a lot of modern women are weird, and when they're online, they act even weirder because they feel like they can just do whatever to anybody. So you can never just completely let your guard down. Whatever they do to you probably won't be as bad as what somebody in real life might try to do, but you still have to kind of proceed with caution, not get too invested in it because you don't know what they're you've said before, you could be loved on Monday, hated on Tuesday, stuff like that. It's very easy for them to switch gears on someone like that. It's like a thing where they have split personalities. I've said before, many of them, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do have some kind of thing of just flipping back and forth. It's very wishy-washy. um but in this almost 30-minute call, she asked if I can read her PowerPoint. She compliments my voice and says that I should be a narrator or a voice actor and all the rest of that stuff. Just all the little praise, right? And uh after I finish reading it and we have a little bit of an exchange after that, she just jumps out of the call abruptly, like don't even say, "Oh, I'm going," or just, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever, that's kind of weird." Later on that same day, as it's either while I'm driving to work or getting ready to go to work, I send her a message, I say hi, she responds really quickly, and we start to kind of speak from there. And I start to mention how lousy the situation with that coworker was. Um, and I make a play on her name, like, kind of continuing from that same joke of earlier, just like how weird her username is. So just keep continuing to make like little alterations of it. And me altering her name or making a joke on that name is so offensive to her that she blocks me. Less than 24 hours after sending me a friend request, less than 24 hours after I read her stupid 10-page PowerPoint. Stuff like that. It's obnoxious and it's dumb, but again, the problem is I can't, how do I say it? So like I think it was obvious from all the different streams I did and all the times that I mentioned her in the videos that the coworker thing really bothered me, right? Because that was someone I put so much time into, 2 months. With a lot of these internet chicks, I I might still get irritated by things they do, might still say this is stupid, whatever. But as far as me like sitting there and just agonizing, like, why did she do this? Why did she waste my time? I don't feel that way anywhere near as much because most of the computer ones tend to have things with them resolved pretty quickly in terms of like you're either going to speak to me for a few days, a few weeks, but after that little like honeymoon period where we're talking for a bit, you're going to completely abandon me or not be around as much, and I'm not going to be as bothered by it because it's built into me to know that when you speak to a woman on a computer, she can disappear at any time, and it doesn't matter if she praised you or said she liked you. Nothing that comes out of her mouth is going to change the fact that many of them are susceptible to keep up the same stupid behavior that we see every year. So again, I was annoyed by this. She's been back in that server at least one time after that, I guess, still talking about her stupid PowerPoints. But it's like, again, I just think it's so weird that you have a partner, they do something that upsets you, and instead of just talking to them like a human being, you feel like you have to make a 10-page series of slides on. And man, it ran the gambit. She had screenshots of the interaction, she had definitions of words, a recounting of the event. And my whole thing is like, you can't do something like that and think it's normal. Like, yeah, we do like the stream video about women, whatever, but these are not chicks I'm having any intention to still talk to, be friends with, whatever. Once usually all the bridges are fully burned, and then after that, the video or the stream comes. This is someone who expects to still keep dating this guy, and in all likelihood, probably will still be accepted by him because men have no standards. Um, but he's supposed to read through 10 pages of that crap and then be like, yeah, let's go back together. I'm sorry. Hmm. I was actually recounting what happened with her. I think it was a day or two after it happened, because this was like not 2 days ago, but like the Friday of the week before. And this person said that she had her way with me. She was like, "Let me get him in this call and have him read this thing that nobody else wants to read, and then he'll be history." I really haven't seen anything as rude as the way that call ended as with her. Like most people will say, "I'll see you later. Thanks for your time. Have a good night." Like just as a formality. She literally just abruptly exited the call. To where I sat there for a minute. I was like, "What the heck?" I mean, maybe her connection went out or something. I was like, "Oh, I guess it's one of those," and just left. I'm just imagining the guy with the slides. He's like, okay, on page one, it says I did this wrong. I guess that's true. Page two, she says I did this wrong. I guess that's true. Page three's definitions. Yeah, those are true. Page four, she's recounting what I did. I asked for more. Page five, she says I will not survive. Page six, okay, she wants to put me on crucifix. It. God, imagine dating that. Like you're playing this video game and you're like, hey, leave me alone or whatever, and then your woman responds to that by making several slides on why there's something wrong with you. For I really wish I could see the guy's reaction. I was like, there's no way he doesn't, even if he doesn't say it, like internally go like, what the hell, did you really make this just to prove that you're correct? Like, you have nothing better to do than that. I'm trying to think. I don't even believe I would make something like that for anyone I know personally. I think the closest you could see to me, like making several pages of something to explain. I think maybe if I had like a kid or something, I would, and I'm trying to teach them vocabulary words and whatnot. I'd make like slides of like, hey, you should do this, do that, etc. But I just find the whole thing so weird. I'm not going to say that definitively takes the cake for the most bizarre thing to come out of this new period of using Discord for more than just storage purposes, but it's um it's definitely up there. That's for certain. So there's another lady, and again, the stuff with her was not as bad. There were no private calls, but she's from a foreign country. That seems to be the recurring theme here. And she joins this call I'm in. We seem to get along pretty well. They all do the thing where they laugh and go and giggle in your face and act like you're so interesting. But it's in the middle of having this conversation that I send her a friend request. She accepts it. I try to like send her a message. She doesn't really half respond, which is annoying. So about 3 or 4 days pass, a little bit, about half a week or whatever. And she comes back. I see her again. I'm like, oh great, we can try speaking to once more. And I swear, for like a whole hour, she just will not say anything. Like it's me and this guy and her that are sitting in this group call, and she actually apparently muted her mic without muting it on the actual Discord app, like our settings, right, where you click your thing and it goes "Doop." Like she found a way to mute it without muting on the site itself. Like that's how much she didn't want to speak. And, some people will say, oh, now everybody has to talk during the call, right? And that's what I thought for a second. 'Cause I want this to be understood. The way I am is I tend to try to give people that I talk to a break. Um, Certainly, I understand that we're not all in always in good moods. Um, I mean, I tried to be in a decent mood most of the time, but even that doesn't always work out for me. But something happened where it upset me greatly. So she, again, for a whole hour, just sits here, will not say anything, completely mute. Will just you can barely get a word out of her. All of a sudden, this guy comes in the VC and he's like, "Hey, you want to go talk in your server?" And she's like, "Okay," and they both dip out of there. And that's when I say, "Wait a second, this is the same person that pretended they were okay with me, liked me, right?" And they not only do they not give me an invite to join their stupid server, but the first chance they get to abandon me after I haven't seen them in several days, they do that. And this is after having a call where you can't even get them to respond to you. So at that point I realized, wait a second, this is not someone who was actually interested in me, right? It's like I'm bored, right? I'm bored, and here's some guys that are kind of like making some jokes, whatever, whatever. I don't want to just sit here by myself while I am playing my game or whatever other thing I'm doing. So I'll talk to him, I'll talk to them, but it'll be a little bit. It's like the first time I spoke to her, so talkative. The second time, just it was like she was half deceased. I don't know what was going on. And like I would have forgiven it. I wouldn't even gotten mad about it. I said, you know what, people just aren't always in the mood to talk. But damn, when the second that guy showed up, hey, wanna go talk in your server? Yeah. And they both dipped out. That's when I unfriended her. I was like, yeah, this is stupid. I'm not about to sit here and get my hopes up that I'll see this person again. And so far, because for whatever reason, Discord has this thing where even if you get blocked by someone or you unfriend someone, you still see their activity if you're in the same server with them, which annoys me because it's like I don't want to keep seeing you after I'm done with you. But she was, as far as I can tell, has not been back in there, which good riddance. But damn, just another waste of time. But like I said, I don't get as aggravated by it because I only spoke to that person twice. I thought they wanted to speak to me, that they liked speaking to me, but I see now that I was wrong for arriving at that assessment. I so for the biggest problem for me with a lot of these like different modern chicks is that you're okay to use for certain, like, I don't know, it's like it's a combination of being led on and then probably the fact that so many times you'll be somewhere with them and they'll seem interested in you in some way or whatever, but then when it's like broken down, it starts to become apparent that yeah, this is just a thing of convenience versus actually liking you. Perfect example. I have a coworker who they sent me a message. This was like last week. Can we swap shifts? And this girl, I'll never forget. I sent her a message just asking her if she liked some candy because they had some candy at the market. I was discounted price. I was thinking maybe bringing some for some of my coworkers, and she wouldn't respond to it. And like I remember being so disturbed by that because it was like, just it goes back to that thing of how these people, when you're around them, they want to talk to you, but then when you're not around, they act like you're a ghost. And so she sends me this message last week. Hey, can we swap shifts? And I don't respond to it. I don't respond to it because, like I said, never tries to contact me outside of when it's work related. And this is one of the same people that tried to lie and say that they were my friend, which of course I didn't believe, but they want to perpetuate that claim. Um, so I don't say anything back. The next day they asked me, "Hi, can we swap shifts, please?" And this now makes 5 messages that they've sent me without a response from me. I didn't respond to that either. Also, I should say that they ended up coming both days at the time that they were trying to get me to take over for them. So the inference is that they were extremely desperate to get someone to take their shift. And I was like the last resort. And like it's only when they're back to a corner, like pressed against a wall, that they want to speak to me at all, which I'm not a fan of because I feel like it shouldn't be my fault. Like my thing is I'll cover people when they don't want to come to work, but as far as hey, can you come in the morning, I come in the evening, to hell with that. Swap shifts. I said no, 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 no. Well, I didn't say anything, but she's been upset with me for the last few days. I said let her be upset. I don't care. I already said before the women at that job are a walking plague. Like we talked before. They'll try to get you in trouble over anything. So one less one to speak to does not bother me at all. I welcome the lack of interaction. I really do. It's like I want her to know what time it is. All those instances where you wouldn't say hi to me, all those times you could have sent me a text message, hey, how you doing? All those missed opportunities to speak to me, they cost you. Like I'm not vindictive enough to go and do something directly to the person because I don't think someone should be forced to speak to me, but I'm also not enough of a doormat to just bend the knee. Like I already know if I swap shifts with her, she might try saying hi or thanks for that first day or that second day. But give it a few more days, few more weeks, they'll go right back to ignoring you. And I'm tired of that. So I like if I'm going to be ignored, I'd rather it happen under without the pretense that oh maybe if you did something for this person, they would treat you like you exist. No, let's go full. You do nothing for me, I do nothing for you. Let's have it that way where we can just we understand each other. We've come to a mutual place of not doing anything for the other. She was like, "Why won't he be my puppet? Why won't he do what I want him to do?" There was actually another guy that I covered the shift of probably back in it could have been oh now I remember it was somewhere around March and he called me a nickname that I didn't really like. I thought it was kind of disparaging the last time I saw him, and I was like, you speak, and I tried to like make it a joke. I was like, I can't believe you would speak to me that way after I covered your shift. And he was like, that was how many months ago? And I thought to myself, well, whether it was a month ago or 100 months ago, if I didn't do that, and I'm sure maybe somebody else might have been able to as well, but like if I didn't do that, you would have gotten in trouble with your job for calling for not coming to work. I haven't had one person cover me in the 7 months I've been there because I don't miss work. Every day they have me scheduled, I show up and I show up on time. And there have been, like I said before, multiple days where I've worked extra days because other people don't want to come to the job. But no, it just drives me crazy that like they don't appreciate anything. You cover somebody's shift and they feel like they can call you out of your name and just ingrates, man. I've covered a lot of people there too, is what's crazy. I've covered some people more than once. And every time they don't want to come to work, I get these calls and not even well, I got a call one time, but like most time it's like text messages from numbers I don't even recognize. Hey, it's this person from work. Do you want to work tomorrow? Do you want to work in 2 days? You want to and in almost every instance, I accept it, with the only exception being where, if they already have me scheduled for that day, which has been a recurring issue now. But it really did become a thing around there that if you didn't want to come to work that day, you could just call this person, the same person over and over, and he would show up in your place because he's trying to get every red cent he can out of this job. I'm laughing at the one guy that was like, if you cover my next shifts, I'll cover your shifts. Like, no, 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 no. I don't miss work ever. I'd have to be deathly ill to miss work. I'd have to be laying on a damn stretcher and they'd have the priest administering last rites for me to not show up. I've come in all types of conditions. When I had a cold, when I was, uh, I only had like 2 hours of sleep. I've never once at any job I've worked called out sick. So that's a record I don't intend to screw up anytime soon. Who else do we want to? I want to save my favorite one for last. Who else do I want to get into? There was a girl who was bragging about. Well, I said before these couples online in particular annoy me greatly because they feel like they can't just date the person. They have to go before the world and let everyone know that they're taken by, you know, ball cruncher 666 or whatever. And like my thing is, I just find it annoying. I do. But this woman is like, "Oh, I'm an artist. I'm taken by da da da." I say, "Hey, look, we both like to draw, so kind of see some of your art. I'll show you some of mine." I send her some of mine. She sends me some of hers. I ask her if she likes my stuff. No response after over a week. So whatever. Um, that's just another dead end. Again, stuff like that doesn't bother me too much. I just get kind of annoyed by the idea of like sending someone your stuff. Again, explicitly wanting to know what they think of it, and just they ignore you. Yeah, they have this other person that invited me to their server, and they've only been online once in the last 2 weeks since that happened. And I was actually laughing at how by the time I had joined their server, it was like 5 people in there, and it was like the VC just kept dwindling and dwindling until I just left. I didn't even bother like saying goodbye because they were just so not interested in me. Where they referred to me as the other person here, I was like, man, this is stupid. What other characters do we have here? Who else? Who else? Who else? Who else? Oh yeah, then there's this girl, and this is one of the funnier ones in my view. She joins the VC I'm in, and we have like a little brief exchange. I don't remember the exact details of it. I try to joke around, whatever. That's just me. Um, but she calls me annoying, and then like leaves the VC. Not even 2 days later, I'm in the VC with her again, and we're having some kind of exchange. But at some point, she starts streaming, which I've said before. My biggest problem with these people that do these streams is that I think it's ridiculous to record people without their consent in a public way and you know do like I'll put it this way. I think there's something wrong with taking people who may not want to be on anyone's damn stream and just, oh, I'm in this VC with them, so let me tape them and put them on my stuff. I think the whole practice is goofy. But anyways, while she's doing this. I make some jokes about the stream, etc. while I'm on there. And I thought to myself, it's so interesting that in the span of not even 2 days, you went from saying that I was annoying to trying to have me on your live stream multiple times. I said, what a character arc. But I'm not kidding when I say they do that. They switch so fast. They go from hating your guts to just, can we speak? Hey, how you doing? And that's why I said I never know where I stand with them because you've seen so many just flip back and forth and whatnot, and it's been kind of frustrating. I'm just trying to. We have to keep putting off the biggest one so far. We have to save her for last. Would I be able to talk about her for a whole hour? I don't think so. It'd probably be like 20, 30 minutes. I'm gonna save that one for last as we're trying to wrap this up. I'll go into her uh because it's just another example of like the whole flipping and switching stuff I despise so much. But it's also got like the added tidbit of me kind of, what's a good way of putting it, like letting my hair down metaphorically in a way I normally don't because the person just keeps pestering me about something, and there's like this idea that they like you, right? And then it's all for nothing or doesn't appear to materialize. Let me see who else can we am I missing? Hmm, I think that actually might be it. Yeah, I think that's we're through. We're done. We've gone through all the mini sagas. I like how it's not even, oh, like this one person. It's like five, six, seven, eight, and I still might be leaving a few out actually because there are some where like the exchanges are just so brief that they don't really make an impression. But yeah, I guess we can get into the biggest. I'm not going to give her a nickname because as far as I can tell, I don't know if we'll have any more exchanges after this. But I was in. This is like 2 days ago, Thursday going into Friday, probably. Uh, I was in this, you know, call with multiple people, and there's a lady in there. And in this call, I only know one person from there. I've seen them before, spoken to them before, but there's a woman in there, and her voice is so soft that I have to put the Discord audio at 200% because it's like I can just barely hear her. I don't know if it's just her voice. I don't know if it's her. Like I assume it's the voice. At a certain point, I was able to better hear her when I turned some other people down a little bit. But it was funny because it was like, here's this woman with this soft voice, the, the voice that's kind of like this, very very soft. Uh, and I'm not really able to make out too much what she's saying. Um, I'm trying to remember what the exact sequence of events were because we're in this call together for like, it could be anywhere from, it's at least 3 hours. It could have been 4 hours, maybe. I wasn't thinking all the way about the track, keeping track of time, but I know it's from at least 12 in the morning to about 3 in the morning. Um, but I'm in this call with her. We're, I have little like exchanges with her. She mentions stuff about herself here and there. And this again, keep in mind this has like five other people there, so it's not like me and her just going back and forth, back and forth. Um, she's making some pretty uh provocative comments about certain things. She mentions that she's been cheated on by like her two different boyfriends, and they always cheat on her with, she terms them as let's just say large B words. And I thought that was funny, the idea that there's that in her country all the women that the men cheat on with apparently are like just like I just was because most people probably would say they just don't like being cheated on. The idea that you're extra offended that it was with some woman that was obese, like if he cheats on me, it better be with a supermodel. I just thought that was funny. Um, but and she talked about she had a revenge scheme with this guy, the perfect girlfriend for him, and then broke up with him, and then had him obsessed with her 3 years later. And in most cases, I'm not a fan of doing stuff like that. Like, I think it's pretty nuts to start dating someone or continue dating someone with the purpose of breaking it off. Like, what's even the point if it's going to just end regardless, right? Um, I was more sympathetic because the person cheated, and I don't I don't know how I would react in that scenario. I haven't had it happen before, but it's one of those things where it's not just her being vindictive for the sake of being a jerk. It's there's like a context of, hey, this person did her dirty, so she wants to do him dirty back. Eye for an eye. So at least with that, I was able to understand to some extent. But as our exchanges continued, I started asking her some things about herself. She asked me some things back. Uh, at one point, she, your favorite person in the call, and I said the same thing back to her. And roughly 3 hours in, because I even directly asked her, like, hey, if you're going to stay up all night, can I stay up with you? And she said she had no problem me doing that. Um, she mentions that she had a kid last year. And when I hear this, I kind of, like look away from my computer in disgust. I'm thinking to myself, if I have a kid, not even just a kid, if I have a baby, right? Because if this was last year, then it's an infant. If I had a baby, there's no way in hell I'd be able to sit on Discord playing games with complete strangers all night long. Not even like an hour, not even like 2 hours, 4, 5, 6, 7. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Then she talks about how old her mom was when she had her, and I just got out of the call. I just couldn't take it anymore. Um, and I've said before, I don't enjoy people having things that I wanted, and more specifically when I'm like, okay, at the job, whatever, you see couples, you see all the little, but you see whatever walking in there, but that's in an environment where I don't really have control over what I see. I don't enjoy sitting around people who flaunt what they have, like, oh, yeah, my daughter just started preschool, and me and my wife are celebrating our 10th wedding. There was a woman who actually, just to sidetrack for a second, um, I was in this call with her, and she mentioned that she moved in with her husband the day that she met him, and they've been together for 10 years. And I was just, I got so irritated listening to again all this relationship mumbo jumbo that I just exit the call because I hearing about it. It bothers me. I've said this before. It's not enjoyable to see people, you know, together or talking about being together while you're constantly reminded of how alone you are. So I jump out of the call and I go and I sit in this other server. And in this other server, The people are stupid. They say nasty stuff. It's got like 900,000 people. It's a really big server, so you can't expect any type of quality control. I mean, that's just the reality. And I figured that's the end of it. At least I don't have to hear any more about that insane. Uh, God, I thought it was finished. I figured that's as good. That's as far as it goes, and there will be no more, nothing else from then on. But to my surprise, I hear that ping noise. I look on my computer, and what do I see? A DM from her, and she asked, "Where did you go?" And I said, "I left." She goes, "Why?" I say, "My future is behind me." She says, "What?" I explain, "I just get depressed every now and again. Usually something triggers it." She goes, "Oh, what triggered it?" I respond, "It's usually a variety of things. Sometimes I'll be thinking about something unpleasant or someone says something that reminds me of my predicament." She responds, "What was it this time?" I say, "I don't think it's something you'll want to hear." She writes, "I think I do want to hear, otherwise I wouldn't have asked." Actually put I would have asked, but it's typo, whatever. Uh Now again, I didn't want to reveal this because I'm not close to these people. I know I have fixations that for others make me look crazy. But again, it's like the pestering, like, come on, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me. So let's continue. Have something very badly, tried as hard as you could to get it, and then seen others with it and been frustrated by how easily they were able to get it. That's why I asked her. And she says, "Yeah, is it about exactly?" And I go, "Most of the time, I say I wanted to have a family. I spent years trying to make that happen. It drives me insane that those who don't plan a single thing end up with something, either married or have a kid, while I have nothing." She responds, "I guess what I said triggered it. I don't know if you were there, but I was actually joking when I said I have a baby." And then she mentions her little brother. And so I take care of him because my mom is sick most of the time. Okay, so I don't want to like get into her whole personal stuff, but um, because I so far I don't like to reveal things about people when they're not, you know, just stuff relating to them personally doesn't have to do with me because I feel like that's going too far. But in this exchange, she reveals things about herself. I reveal some stuff about myself, and we even at one point talked about the possibility of having a voice call where we go more into this. But she's tired and I'm tired. It's like 4 or 5 in the morning. I have to get up at uh 12 to go and talk to somebody else later that day and then go from there to work. So I just, as much as I would have liked to have spoken to her even longer, neither side was really feeling it from what I could tell. But by the end of that exchange, I felt like she wanted to speak to me. Uh she had opened up to me in a way that most of the others I had spoken to since I started, the current this Discord sequel, I guess you call it, the Discord Adventures of 2024. She opened up to me more than probably anyone else besides the one I mentioned earlier that spoke to me for like trees that are like way more talkative and acting slightly like more accessible. But I walked away from this thinking, okay, might have actually started a connection with some, or at least an exchange that can be beneficial to both sides. Now on Friday, I work my shift. I don't get back until like 9, 10 o'clock. And she's in this group call just like she was the night before. I talked to her about like possibly speaking on Saturday, right yesterday. And I joined this call and it's like I almost think she has my mic muted because I say hello to her. I try to like address what she's saying and there's no response. And I'm dealing with at this point because I go outside because there are people in here Friday. At this point, I just my internet acting up, right? Because I mean, look at all the, like look at all the little weird stuff that happens with the internet over here. I mean, it's all the time stuff acts up. And again, I'm outside, which means it's probably going to be even worse than it would be if I were inside. So I write it off. I said, but I'm getting kind of irritated because I'm like, I know she can hear me. I'm not crazy. Everybody else is responding to me. What is this? So at one point, about three different accounts jump into this VC, all types of weird stuff they say, and she jumps out, and then I jump out, and I ask her where'd you go? I repeat the question she asked me the night before, and she said the VC got annoying. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, that's why I left too. And I ask her if she's busy, uh, you know, with the hope that she'll respond. And I'll like, no. And then I'll say, hey, can we do this call? As I said before, and there's no response to that. And then yesterday, she's online for a little bit. I call it because I sent her some of my drawings, and she, of course, just like the rest of them, no response. And I don't just abruptly send these. I send these after asking for permission because I'm not just gonna like randomly send you stuff you don't want to look at. So yesterday I say like I asked her name with a question mark. She goes, yes. I say, how are you? She goes, I'm all right. You? I said, I had hoped for a different Saturday than the one I got, but it is what it is. Will you be going to sleep soon? She says, yes, I will be. I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow then. I hope you have a good rest. But this is me basically coming. We had this like big exchange Friday that made me think, oh man, this might actually possibly be more than the usual disposable crap on Discord, where somebody talks to you for a few days or a few weeks, and then they just dump you or cut it off abruptly. But I see it clear as day now that it's just another example of like the same old thing, where the false hope. Hey, person I'm really interested in talking to, that's why I won't respond to the stuff you send me. And when we can only speak when we're in these big group calls where you can't even hear what I'm saying to you. And I don't know, I just feel like giving up when it comes to trying to do stuff. People like at this point, the only one I'm still kind of confident of a little bit is the one I spoke to for 3 hours. That one, was that last week. But yeah, I came on there. I said I'm gonna try and see if this will be any different. But honestly, any little thing can set somebody off. The girl that thinks you want to be her boyfriend because you sent her a voice note where you say, "Hey, this is what my voice sounds like. I record just for you." That's enough for her to think you want to be with her romantically. Yet the other one that got offended because I called her dear. So trust me, out of all the stuff people online have called me, the term of endearment would be the last one to upset me. There actually was some other lady that called me. It's some other language's version of the word love. I didn't get mad. I just asked her what it meant. I mean, it's whatever. Really appreciate for you sharing that Discord story. Hope everything goes well. Bagumi, I've been waiting to curse you out for 45 days. Dude, I'm not even kidding. Like, I thought I was going to make my unpopular color too. But the amount of material I have on these Discord chicks, you could end up having a whole hour-long video. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. It's really crazy just how much has happened in 2 weeks. Like, I went through most of it pretty quickly, but if I were to combine the DMs and let's just say some other materials I have, like, I still want someone to explain to me, and also thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. But I want someone to explain to me how, in any normal world, a person who is upset with their partner, instead of just talking to them and saying, "Hey, look, you did this thing I didn't like because da 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 da," she in her mind is like, I'm going to make a PowerPoint that's 10 pages long and have him read through it. And dude, the fact that she was on Discord fishing for someone to read it or to talk about it with clearly shows that she doesn't have anybody in real life that wants to put up with that stupid thing. Let me see, what is this? Oh, okay. Yeah. Dude, I bet if she went up to her own mom or dad and was like, or her siblings, hey, here's this PowerPoint I made of my partner upsetting me. They'd be like, what the hell? Get a life. Oh man, that is so weird. But no, that last one I mentioned, man, I had so many hopes because like the way she was talking and revealing stuff, and I wasn't even expecting that once because I normally don't say anything when I just jump out of a VC, like that's it, because again they don't care about me, right? I'm nothing to them. But to my shock, she was like, where'd you go? And we had this elongated series of messages where I was like, man, did I actually just meet someone that likes me, that wants to get to know me? Are you kidding me? Is that really about to happen? Is this a oh nope. Same old, same old, same old. I told you the only one I have any hope left in is that one from that other country with the 14-hour job. To be honest, I was quite surprised to know you've given Discord another shot. It's been so long since you last spoke about it. Yeah, because since 2000, either 21 or 22, I've only used that site to speak to like three people, and one of them like isn't even online that much. So it's really just me opening the site up to send a few people a message, and then just like my main base of operations always has been YouTube. This whole thing of sitting in servers and trying to man, you should have seen me on Friday morning. I was like, oh, finally I met somebody else that seems to have gone through what I go. Oh, well, never mind. like contrast Friday morning with Friday night. It was like two different people. Just like what you said. You open up that window for just a bit, you see what they'll do, and they put that knife right through into you. Every time it's like, oh, this might be a person that likes me back and wants to speak to me and wants to talk. And she's revealing things about herself and trying to give me words of encouragement and also attempting to speak. Oh, nope. Never mind. Every time, man. Every time. It's going to be real fun to see. Because I just get tired of prodding, right? Like if I have to keep sending you a message, hey, how you doing? How are you? Hi. At one point, I'm just gonna be like, okay, this is stupid. This is going nowhere. Man, you should have seen the stuff she was writing. You're my favorite person in the VC right now. I didn't even want to reveal that kid thing. I really did not, because I was like, they don't get it. They don't understand. They it's it. That makes me look crazy, right? So, but she just kept poking and poking. I just, all right, fine. This is what bothers me. Oh, we didn't even get to talk about the clones, because I just realized you hadn't been on here since the Three Men movie, the Three Men feature film. So there was she might still work there. I haven't seen her in a while. You know, this is what these people do. They get so few hours to where you start thinking people don't even work there anymore, but they still do. There's a woman who works at my job who I sat her down and I said, look, I like you. I have fun speaking to you, but I just can't risk having another one of you stab me through the back. Um, and when I say that, I'm referencing what happened with, Mixed Signals Queen. And she says she's not like that, da 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 da. And really all she knows about her is the basic play by play, right? Ask Percy a movie, staying up at the last minute, just like the really summarized skimmed version, right? Not the whole, not like the more intricate details of I'm not a call person and I'll let you know and what, all that stuff isn't really known to her. But one day, because at this point it's been several months since that happened, right? That was back in March. I asked her directly, "Hey, look, if I send you a message, will you respond?" She's like, "Yeah, I told you before. I'm willing to speak to you." And I swear, I have a pretty good memory. There's no way I said to her directly, "Can I message you sometime?" or anything like that. And that's what had me kind of like perplexed by her answer. I was like, "Man, she must really want to speak to me if she would pretend that I've said this before when I know I haven't." But whatever. So I sent her a message on it's like a Saturday. I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And she responds to it later that day or whatever. And then I write something back to her, and this is the full exchange. It's like two or three or four messages. It's really limited. So I say to her, "Hey," when I see her at the job on Monday, I'm like, "Hey, I sent you a message, you didn't respond." "Oh, I'm not really that good at texting." And when I hear that, I go, "Oh no, not again." Because you know who that's reminding me of. So as the shift continues, my response to her saying she wasn't going to text was me saying, "Well, I can't call you," which again, that's me assuming, right? Because I don't know if I can or not. When the shift is over, not when the shift's over, when she is leaving and she's doing her little bye thing, because they always want to say bye. They love saying bye to me, waving bye. I say, "Hey, can I call you? Since you're not going to texting." Her exact response was, "I don't even call members of my own family." When I heard that, my interest in speaking to her went like this. Now there's another one, and it's funny. This one actually got mentioned in the video. The video I did, I think it wasn't train wreck. It was everything started crumbling. Where I was like, "Hey, there's these two women I like at my job, but I don't want to talk to them because who's to say one of them doesn't try doing this to me?" So as she's leaving, she's asking me like, "Hey, I never see you anymore. They must only give you shifts at night because she usually works there in the morning or the early part of the day." And I say to her, "Hey, I'd like to, stay in contact with you. Maybe I can message you sometime." And her response is, remember, this is not the same chick as the one that said the thing about, I don't even call Mayor's mom. This is another one, right? She's like, uh, yeah, as long as it's not one of those kind of messages. And I'm like, well, I usually just say hello. Now, but I just want you to understand her response to me just asking as a courtesy, "Hey, because, can I message you?" is, "Sure, as long as it's not one of those kind of messages." Dude, you better believe that when I heard that, I said, I would rather message every single other person that works here before I message you. Internally, that's what I said. And sure enough, this was like a month ago. I have not sent her one message. That turned me off so quickly and so hard. I was like, yeah, forget it. Just whatever. And hey, she's a little bit craftier than I thought she was, because she tried saying hi to me. I think it was the week after that, because I usually only see her like once a week, or was seeing her once a week, and I didn't respond. And then I think it was the next shift after that, she picked up somebody else's shift, and she was like, "I said hi to you, but you didn't say hi back. I thought you were mad at me." I was like, "Oh no, I don't. I'm not going to say anything to you. I don't want to be perceived as saying something inappropriate or bothering you." And she's like, "Oh no, I have four siblings. You can bother me." But I just thought it was funny that I guess she caught on to the fact that like turned me off. That's such a rude thing to say to someone who was just genuinely interested in wanting to keep in contact. Well, I tell you, the problem with the modern chick is that a lot of them have these overinflated egos that really do cloud their judgment. It's like, do you really think I'm going to risk my job by sending you some weirdly romantic thing or creepy thing or whatever you thought it was, when you've never received any message from me or know me to have done that to anyone in the past? Like, you're literally just assuming I'm going to do that. I did this stream. You didn't come, but it was called Clones. That's what that was supposed to be the thing I was going to talk about on that stream because I was like, I'm telling you, before this year, I had never met a woman in real life who said, "You can never call me." Mixed Signals Queen was the first idiot to come up with that idea, or at least to float around me. And this other woman is the second one. But guess what? Since we've already been through it one time, we see the parallels, right? Stuff is kind of starting to match up to how it went the other time. We're not going to let this go any further. So once she said, I don't even call members of my own family, that was that. Once the other one was like, you can send me a message, you can contact me, but just don't send me one of those messages. That was that. I'm serious, man. Once they start doing like saying that weird stuff and whatever, like just kill it. It's over. Yeah, she has no basis of evidence to assume how you are. I've literally never messaged her once. And you're gonna say, don't send me one of those. Like, oh boy. But I do like that she really did catch on to me not speaking to her after that. Oh, you'll get a kick out of this. There was a guy who was in the he was in the hallway, and there were like 5 or 6 people who were standing in the hallway. And the hallway is small. It's like the length of this wall to my arm. Like you couldn't even get 3 people to stand next to each other without it just being too crowded where you couldn't get by. And there's like 6, 7 people in the hallway, and he goes, "You guys are all too close to me." And they like turn, look at him, they keep talking, whatever. He's like, "All right, that's it. Everybody's getting reported." He said he was going to take a big, like one of those, those line pieces of paper they use in school, and just write down everyone's name and like all the people for that shift, and just forward it to HR. I like that so much because that's him like making fun of how they've turned human resources into crybaby resources where all they do is just complain. He called me a name. Oh, you'll like this. I think I told you there's like 2 really big chicks that work at that job, and one of them is a manager, one is not. And this is the same woman who told me about Mixed Signals Queen doing weird stuff with her boyfriend in the car and coming out with her hair all messed up or whatever after they got off of one of their late night shifts together. And I was um I was washing stuff a few days ago, and she dropped some stuff on the, like, makes it dirty, right? Clearly an accident. I, like, as a joke, I say, "Hey, why would you do this? Did I hurt you?" Or some of that effect. And her response is, "You never say hello, so F you." I look at her and I go, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Yeah, go tell your friend Tiffany." So I just spilled this stuff on the floor, and the person who's like, it's their job to clean everything. Why did you do this? "You never say hello, so F you." Like, excuse me? Yeah, go tell your friend Tiffany. Tiffany is not the actual name. It's she. This is the name. I'm just using the name as like whatever alias. That's the name. But when she says that, she was referring to the HR person, the one that called me when Mixed Signals Queen tried to get me in trouble for supposedly recording her. It's like, imagine calling that person my friend, the interrogator, the one that goes and like confronts people about the supposed misgivings they have at. That's my friend. She got so triggered that I wouldn't say hello. That's actually probably the most vulgar anyone has been up there with me since I started. I was not expecting that. Oh, I mean, if you want some mixed signal queen updates, like I said, I don't bother her, but I have found out a few more things. She lost her car. And let me tell you how I found out. One night they had me, they had us like, doing one of the late shifts together, right? And we both leave at the same time. And I see her walk because I told you before she would just like immediately rush to her car to get out of there, right? Or something. I see her go and sit in front of this place that's like right across the street. And she's just sitting out there. And then it hits me, oh my God, she's waiting to get picked up by somebody. And that's when I'm like, I noticed because I at first I thought she had a new car. Mm-mm. And my thing is normally I don't so I'll put it this way. Normally I wouldn't care, but I just think it's funny that the same person that was like so against the idea of giving me a ride now has to wait for somebody to give them a ride. Oh, and there's also one other thing, but I don't know if I can mention it without getting demonetized, so I might not say it. Oh, I just realized the sun has come outside. Great. I mean, as far as this week was concerned, they have us scheduled for 4 days together. That's very ironic. Trust me, there's something even more ironic. And you know what? Mm, I feel like I got to sneeze for a second. But most of the stuff I say on here, I think people get upset with for no reason. But I'm not kidding when I tell you if you get upset with me for saying this, because I give you the preamble and then I'll deliver it. I will understand. If you don't want to watch me anymore, I will, and I'm only saying that like as half a joke because I do get that there are some things that people, that just don't look good when somebody says it. Uh, but I think if you understand my perspective, it'll be you might still not agree with it, but I guess you'll be more sympathetic to my position. Wonder what she did to lose the car. It certainly wasn't coming to work on time. I was going to mention before I get into the other thing that she was she and I were supposed to work together Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday. What's the other day where they have me with her? I think it's Thursday. It's like they give both of us 5 days and we're there together for like four each. But she didn't come. She came on Tuesday and left halfway through. Oh, I don't feel good. That was her excuse. And then on Thursday she didn't come. And then on Friday she didn't come. And then on Sunday she didn't come. And then she came on I believe it was Monday, but she was late. It's just like the one manager said, she's a part-time employee. I told you, man, 7 months over there, and I have not missed one day. I've only been late one time on my first day. That was the only time, only instance. These people live way closer, and they can't be bothered to show. It's insane. Well, she's not taking her job seriously. How many lives does she have? Dude, she's a god at this point. I think she's like Jesus if he was like really lazy and very and a coward and like just she has some real immunity. But I guess we can get into the part that I think is going to get me in trouble. Um, so going back to her three men, I mentioned before that I was the only one of the three guys that wasn't trying to date her. I don't like chicks with loads of makeup. I don't like the ones with the Edward Scissorhand fingernails. Um, you know, I just wasn't interested. in that way. If I, if in terms of just like speaking to each other, I was all for that. The second guy, the one that said I'll pick you up at 8 that night, during the March 23rd massacre. Um, the one who told me F you, right? Just earlier this week, she said that she tried to set him up with her. And I already think that's like so corny, right? Playing matchmaker at work. Like, if two people like each other, they should just go talk to each other. There really shouldn't have to be a third party, trying to steer the ship, but whatever. Okay. And apparently, the guy number two, I'm guy number one. I'm so special. Guy number three is the current boyfriend. But guy number two was excited to have her number, excited to speak to her, etc., etc. And he discovered as he was speaking to her that she wasn't looking for anything romantic because of something that happened with her ex-boyfriend. And what apparently happened with her ex-boyfriend was that she had a miscarriage. So I'm just going to warn you, with most stuff, I can be sympathetic. I can say objectively, hey, that's messed up. That's bad. That's not good. But my sympathy can only go so far for people that I feel have tried to inflict great harm upon me. If she was still the version of her that stood me up to go see a movie at the last minute, I would be sympathetic. I would say, oh, that's terrible that happened. If this were the version of her I was speaking to that was playing the whole, I'll let you know thing, I would be still like, yeah, that's messed up that happened. But this is the one who, in case, it's been a few months, maybe you forgot, tried to get me fired after I said I was done with her. And never expressed any remorse over doing that, even as I tried to make, amends or still speak afterward. So I'm just warning you that you have to keep that in mind, because I feel like people who don't treat those well that are alive should not get a blanket pass from us when they have someone around them that is deceased, whatever, in terms of like just outright sympathy. And I am a believer in God. I've said that before. I truly believe that for as lousy of an individual as she is, God sat down and said, this child, whether it was a boy or girl, has no chance of having a decent life if this pathetic waste of garbage is its mother, and took him back and said, come home, little boy, little girl. And you know what? I'll go a step further. And I said this to somebody else, and I'm honest. I don't sit here and pretend that I am not this scornful, sore loser that I am. I truly hope that she never has children. I hope that her triangle is like one of those out of order vending machines you see at an abandoned supermarket. I hope that when she goes to the doctor and she thinks that she's pregnant because maybe, the period was off by a few days, the doctor says, April Fools. If people get to treat living individuals like garbage with no care or concern for if we're alive or dead, we should have no care or concern or even a shred or ounce of empathy when something bad happens to them. I have had so many coworkers that I didn't like, I didn't get along with. I've never once tried to get a single one fired, especially one that committed the sin of teasing me or trying to go and see a movie with me. I'm serious. I don't regret a single thing I just said. That's how I genuinely feel. I think God sat down and he said, look, this is going to be a mother. You got to be kidding me. Seriously, I can understand why you would not be sympathetic toward that because of your experience. And man, it's like imagine losing a child and this is how you act. Like, I'm gonna just say this to you. There's a couple like people always say, "Oh, you're not a parent, you don't understand." But there are certain themes that are tied with having a job and being a parent because both are responsibilities, right? And part of being responsible is like, for example, meeting certain deadlines, showing up on time, performing the task you're assigned to do, etc. And does like from what I described to you of her, just the way that she acts, can you honestly and you have to look me in the eye, you can type this on in the chat. Can you honestly tell me that she was fit to care for another person? Are you serious? Like, can you really tell me that? And looking at it from that standpoint, she's certainly capable of taking care of a child due to her character and etiquette. Exactly. That's what I said. And clearly, her and her boyfriend weren't in any committed relationship, seeing as they're done with each other now. So what? You're gonna pop out this baby and then take care of it with your part-time job and have the dad estranged from you? Like that was going to be the success story. Absolutely not. Seriously, she acts like an overgrown. Well, dude, that's why I thought like I never entertained the idea of her having a kid or having come anywhere like I thought she was just because she's from another country originally, right? I thought she was just this kid who came to the US when they were really young and they got, Americanized, westernized, whatever, and they're kind of like goofy and weird, but they still have some okay qualities, right? They're trying to work some job. I never imagined that someone that ridiculous, that screwed up, and that immature would actually have come close to being a parent. But I guess maybe I underestimate the fact that we live in this era where men are extremely desperate and they will take anything, right? I mean, you saw how desperate I was to just try to make that thing with going to the movies work. Putting up with all the nonsense that I did. And I guess I should have accepted that because we have no standards for chicks, that also means we have no standards for mothers. So any one of them that can open, it up, they can reproduce, even if it leads to a completely disastrous result, which is what I'm sure would have happened if that kid had been born. Dude, I already knew, right, the way that I was that me saying like I'm glad you had this like I already knew that that sounded bad, but it's the truth. Like again, I'm honest. Yes, you're right. Any one of them can become a parent these days due to how desperate men have gotten. Dude, when that coworker told me that she was married and she's like 300 pounds, I just like, dude, I'm not, I don't even normally talk about the way that they look. I do appreciate the honesty. But I don't normally talk about the way they look. But this other lady, right, the one that's married, her pants have this bulge, like this, like the shape of them. It's almost like you would think they're gonna pop off. Like when someone has something and it's like there's no free hanging room. Like for example, with my leg, you'll see that like it's tight, the part that's like the leg, but then like in that like around that midsection, there's a lot of free hanging room where you can just grab parts of it because like I'm not as large as the article of clothing itself. Her, I guess it's jeans, whatever, slacks. Those things look like they're gonna just burst, and I'm like, knowing that there's some man that said I do, and you have people that tell me I need to go to the gym today. Like I just I'm I every, Everything is backwards. I live in the Twilight Zone. That's been known for a while now. It's insane. And again, I normally even talk about the way they look, but like it, if she is not a confirmation that men are desperate, I don't know what is. We will take anything. Also, Megumi, do me a favor. We're gonna give you a quiz. Can you explain to me how I was able to get a woman from another country, from the U? Well, I don't want to say it. Actually, I'll say it. Whatever. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? From your good old country of the UK to talk to me for 3 hours in the span of 2 days, whereas I couldn't get a woman who lives in the same city, state, possibly even zip code to let me call her. I'd love for you to explain how you can't get mixed signals queen to talk to on the phone, but you can get the lady from another damn continent to be like, "Hey, how you doing? How are you?" It's crazy because it also means that women in general don't have incentive to actually get in shape or have a healthy body to take care of themselves. And dude, it's not even like someone's got a little bit of weight on them. It's bad. She's like 5'5", 5'6", and I swear she can't be any less than 300 pounds. And you're right, they have no incentive because men don't care. Like they'll take anything. Oh my god. But like I told you before, they call me an I word all they want, but honestly, if you told me I could only date chicks that look like that or be by myself, I would just be by myself. I don't want that. It's too much, man. Just gross. I'm not even talking about the weight itself, and just like the whole state of affairs of like being criticized for the way you look. But then if you have a triangle, they just like turn a complete blind eye and deaf ear to any giving you any incentive to not be that way. Bagumi, I want you to explain to me how is it that a woman from another country will sit here and talk to me for hours on the phone, but then the one that's right down the street is like, "No, I'm good." I wish I could get an answer on that. That I'm very perplexed. Oh, dude, let's not go there. I have come across quite doing time of wanting during my time wanting to be with someone. Me and friends are established that phenomenon. I want someone to explain to me in Roman English how the woman who lives in the same city and state as me, no call, but then the one in another region is like, yeah, let's talk for hours while I'm at work. Okay. I told you, man, everything is backwards. It's all upside down. It's like the ones that couldn't care less about you at all live extremely close to you, but the ones who do share care and willing to spend time you live halfway. Dude, I'm not kidding. Like the two that got me the most into believing there was something there. And when I say that, I'm not talking about, oh, we're going to go and date or whatever. I'm just, even though I do kind of like the UK one, but whatever. She has a boyfriend, but just, I noticed that the UK one, right? All the way over there. And then the other one, even though I think she, hers is like been revealed more so to just be like a faint thing of just 1 or 2 days. But like the two that opened up the most to me and spoke to me the longest are from the UK and I guess some part of Africa or Morocco or whatever the other country was. It's like that's crazy. I don't even push that passport guy crap, but I mean, hey, you should have seen how mad I got when the one from the one from Africa was like, I had a baby last year. I was like, you had a kid last year and you sit on Discord playing games for 5 or 6 hours long. Are you sit? I jumped out of that call so fast, and then like 5 minutes like, where'd you go? She revealed she was like messing with him. I was like, yeah, because that I was about to say that defies all logic. What the hell would I look like? I have a baby, but I'm sitting on the computer playing games for a damn quarter of the day, 6, 7, 8 hours. The ones that couldn't care less about you at all live extremely close to you. It's one of the most bizarre things I've noticed. Majority of chicks I've managed to speak to properly have been from the US. The very few that are from the UK don't seem to want to talk at all. I actually forgot the one from the UK was even from over there until we started like speaking voice to voice, and I heard how thick the accent was. Like, oh yeah, you did mention this. I just it blurred. I blanked out of it. Man, you should have seen me on Friday night. I was so excited to be like, oh, I'm going to talk to her again, and we're going to speak. And Saturday will just be me and her, and we can have this, you know, hours long conversation. We get to know each other, just like me and the one from the UK. But nope. Instead, she was on that group call for like 2, 3 hours, mostly just playing games. Right, hypnotized by the games. You say her name, she won't even respond, and then she jumps out the call because some people came in there that annoyed her. And instead of speaking right one on one like I had wanted, she goes and plays games and listens to Spotify all night. So won't even respond when you write her a message. So again, there because it's only been a few days, there's still a chance, right, that she might speak to me, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. And I didn't even get to tell you about those catfishes that were in the other server I was in, where one of them had an avatar that was like cut, like had the gray lines at the top and the bottom, and it was flipped like on the side. And I was in this call with because it's that server like 900,000 people in it, and I said when I saw her picture, because her friend at least was smart to not have a picture that was stolen. I guess my question I have for you is related to this topic. Yeah, let me just get through this real quick. Um, so her again, like I thought the picture was stolen because it's like, who do you know would have a picture of themselves where it's flipped and it's got this like cut gray line on top and bottom? And I said, I would absolutely bet my house that is not you in that picture. And she's like, it is me. I'll send you my Instagram profile. I was like, okay, where's the link? And then crickets. They think every man is just a complete idiot. Like, ooh, nice attractive picture of woman that she definitely did not get from somewhere else. I said, I know that's not you, and I would absolutely bet my house that you stole it from some. I will send you Instagram posts. Like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. That's why I say a lot of that stuff with them is just such a joke, man. You can't trust any of it. Like I know, um, So the only two I that sent me pictures of themselves were the UK one and the one that was in like Africa. And I didn't really get it. I was surprised because like I pledged to you, I didn't ask either of them for a picture of themselves. I really did not. Like I will go through the whole message history and show that I didn't ask either one for a photo because as I've said to you before, I don't try to do that romance stuff really at all anymore. Even with chicks that I like in that way, I still am very much not inclined to try and, whatever. Uh but again, it's like at least they're honest. They send you multiple photos in many cases, like to where I don't doubt that that's them. But that one, the two that were sitting up in that call on the other server, no way. They stole those off Google Images. It's like, yeah, this is definitely me. That's why I only have this one photo that's really blurry and got lines on the bottom. So hypothetically, your IRL best friend, as an example, if he sent you an invite to his wedding of him and his fiance, would you be willing to attend that? Um, well, even though he and I are in the same situation when it comes to all the romance stuff, if he did, I probably would because I've known him for so long, and I'd be more inclined to be offended if I didn't get an invite. I was in the throes of, so I'd mentioned before I had like this script idea of like the little girl that's a serial killer that got her dad's powers, and it's in like a timeline where he took his life because everyone around him was dying and he just felt like nothing, just I mentioned that before. um but I was doing this book that was like a prequel to that, and I remember there's a section on him getting married where you know he feels the hollowness, like, okay, I'm at this ceremony, I said my vows, I'm smiling, etc., but there's that one empty seat reserved for the person that couldn't be here today. uh yeah,